Stadium in Avellino. Fiorentina at home to Juventus, who lead 3-1 from the first leg in Turin. I say Fiorentina at home, but of course this is a neutral ground. After crowd trouble in Florence in the semi-finals, Fiorentina were ordered to play this game at least 300 kilometers away. So this small town in southern Italy has been chosen to stage the match. And the Fiorentina supporters, in a crowd of around 30,000, they'll outnumber the Juventus fans by around 10-1. Well, the first leg in Turin was a very aggressive, volatile affair, and a rather controversial one too. Schillaci. He's posing problems for all defences that he faces this season, and straight away there's a goal inside 2 minutes. Gallia, the man who scored the winner in the cup final, is in the right place once again. And the marking was slack. Look here, as it's played in, no one's picked Gallia up. Chiara, and he's done well here. Busso, and he scored! It's 1-1. Busso. Well, he can't believe it. Chiara does so well here, pulls it back. Tacconi couldn't get there, but Busso most certainly could. Alenikov. Alessio. Rui Barosh. Oh, there was a push then, surely. Alessio. It stands. Partita has scored, and it's 2-1 to Juventus. But surely a push there. Alessio shot challenge down, Partita reacts quickly, steers it in. 6 corners, Fiorentina have had 2. Schillaci knocking it back, D'Agostini. Oh, goal! A misjudgment by the goalkeeper, Landucci, and D'Agostini has scored that 3rd goal that Juventus so desperately wanted. The shot here bounces just before Landucci, who mistimed it, and he will be so disappointed. A dramatic first leg that leaves Juventus then firm favourites to win their first European trophy since 1985. They include all 4 of their players named in the Italian World Cup squad: Tacconi, D'Agostini, Schillaci and Marocchi. Still no place for the Soviet star Zavarov though, and Juventus without Benetti at the back, he's suspended, so in comes Alessio. Another change to Brio, replaced at the back by Bruno. A colourful atmosphere in the stadium. They really know how to relish the big occasion in Italy. Fiorentina's coach, Francesco Graziani, has bumped for the same side that started the first leg. Carlos Dunga, the Brazilian, plays despite only having just returned from the international in Rio against East Germany. And up front, well, Roberto Baggio, he's the young jewel in the crown of Italian football and carries Fiorentina's major hopes of swinging the tie round. 2-0 is the result they need to defy Juventus. Join us for the whole of the game after the break. Welcome back to the Partita Stadium in Avellino, and the second leg of the UEFA Cup final. Fiorentina against Juventus. Can Fiorentina turn it round? 3-1 down then from the first leg, and they believe they can transform this tie. Their coach Graziani, as Fiorentina get us underway, their coach says we have 3 things in our favour. we have fitness, we have enthusiasm, and we have Baggio. And Roberto Baggio is certainly the golden boy of Italian football, and if anyone can change the course of this final, it is Baggio. A cracking atmosphere in the stadium, as you'd expect. Only around 30,000, but it's packed to the rafters here. The neutral ground in Avellino. Well, alongside me in the commentary box here is the former England captain, Gerry Francis, a man who's played at many such occasions in the past, many big nights, of course, in his days with the England team and also with top first division sides in England, and he's just coached Bristol Rovers to promotion too from the English third division. So congratulations, Gerry, on that. And you've had a look at the first leg. What are your feelings about how this one might go?
Well, good evening, Peter. Anyway, I must say it's a nice change from Twerton Park anyway. A fantastic atmosphere tonight as well. I felt they were very unlucky, Fiorentina, in the first leg, because I felt they had a number of chances to have been in front, and at 1-1 they had a situation where I felt the goal was very unfortunate, because there was definitely a push, and then there was a goalkeeping mistake for the third goal for Juventus. So I think they must have felt themselves a bit unlucky in that game.
Well, 2-0 is the target then for Fiorentina tonight. And I wonder if Juventus will sit back and defend, endeavour to contain Fiorentina, or whether they will search for a goal, which would make, of course, things a lot harder indeed for Fiorentina. That's Schillaci, his first break upfield. He's very quick, darting at defenders. He made a lot of incisive runs in the first meeting between the two teams. Schillaci, who's forced his way into the Italian World Cup squad, and he was forced aside then by Volpacina. So free kick to Juventus. The stadium here is still filled with smoke at the moment. And there's the referee, who comes from West Germany, Aaron Schmidhuber. So visibility not too good at the moment out there. There's an early chance for Juventus as the ball flashes past the post, and Landucci asking questions of his defenders. The free kick curled across, and it's flicked just wide there from Galea, the man who scored the first goal in the opening leg and who also got the winner in the Italian Cup final. Won by Juventus against AC Milan just a couple of weeks ago. That was their first triumph since way back in 1985, and now they're hoping under Dino Zoff here to add the UEFA Cup. Dino Zoff, his last match in charge, his two-year contract is up, and harsh though it may seem, he's going, whatever the outcome of this, he's on his way. Now, a shot then from Baggio. The first warning there to Juventus. I don't know how much, Joe, you've seen of Baggio, but he's obviously a very dangerous player.
Yeah, I've seen a bit of him, Peter, and that's typical of him there. That's a good header down from Busso. They work very well together, and he's turned and tried to curl one in the far corner. A bit unfortunate there.
But early promise for Fiorentina. Nerves, though, at the back, and they've conceded the corner. Landucci, who made a dreadful error in the semi-final against Werder Bremen. He was also at fault with the third goal, as we saw in the first leg in Turin. So I think he'll be anxious to turn on a good show tonight. Schillaci, number 11 there, on the edge of the 6-yard area. Galea was in there too. Only partially cleared. Marocchi, another member of the Italian World Cup squad. And Landucci, happy to see that one sail past his far post. This is Kubik, the Czechoslovakian. Fouled then by Bruno, who's come in at the expense of Brio, very experienced defender Brio. 33 years old, and throwback to the halcyon days of Juventus in the early 80s. He's been left out, Bruno preferred. Brio is among the substitutes. That was a rather dangerous back pass. It found its target. And with Baggio around and Di Chiara there, you can't take too many chances. Nappi was outsmarted then by Agostini. Free kick to Juventus. A foul on Rui Barros, who's one of those players departing from Juventus. They've already signed up 3 newcomers, at least for next season. They do a lot of planning ahead in Italy. And Rui Barros, the Portuguese international, is one of those who'll be going to make way for the newcomers. Schillaci's cross. Dell'Olio with the clearance. Stern-looking figure of the West German referee. It's a very volatile atmosphere, and a claustrophobic one too. So a corner to Juventus. Landucci, fisting it away. And that will be another corner. So the pressure seems to be getting to Landucci. A bright opening here by Juventus. Marocchi to take the corner. Again, Galea has come up from the back. It was Battistini away. Galea. That's one way of dealing with it. Battistini able to bring it away in the end. But no side so far, Jerry, of Juventus just sitting back.
I think they started very positively, Peter, you know, and they could have easily, with a 2-goal lead, looked to close it up, but they've started very positively indeed, and they're getting some reward. I must say, Peter, as well, that I think it's nice as a manager to know that when you're going to get the sack in advance, it stops all them grey hairs.
But Dino Zoff must be asking what on earth he has to do if they do go on to win the UEFA Cup. He's won the Italian Cup, beating AC Milan in the final. They finished joint 3rd in the league.
Perhaps they're not happy with his haircut, Peter.
Well, whatever, he's on his way. And Mayfraini is the man who's going to be replacing him from Bologna. I should also remind you that Graziani is leaving Fiorentina. He's only had a few weeks in charge, and he's guided them through to the final. But he's going too, and Sebastião Lazzaroni, the Brazilian coach, is taking over at Fiorentina. No goals so far. Juventus, just to remind you, leading 3-1 from the first leg in Turin. And it was a pretty aggressive and edgy first leg at times. And the managers, I know, were at great pains before this game to settle the players down, to calm them down in readiness for another battle. And already it's turning out to be one too. It's Casiraghi clashing there with Pin. Juventus throw, taken by De Agostini. He'll be in the World Cup squad. This is Nappi. Away by Battistini. Baggio at close control until he was impeded and indeed fouled. So free kick to Fiorentina. We've got to stay patient. And it'll be Battistini to take the kick, the captain of Fiorentina, hoping that he'll be the man to lift that trophy at the end of the night. Alenikov, the Soviet player. Here's Dunga, the Brazilian. It's lovely skill. Great play by Dunga. Nappi. Easily broken up though, and away goes De Agostini. Schillaci. Excellent technique from both teams here. And there's a lot of good football being played for all the heat of the occasion.
I must say, Peter, I was very impressed with the Brazilian Dunga of Fiorentina in the first leg. He's got some great skills, and he's got a great left foot, and he gets forward and has some great shots from the edge of the box, and I think he could well be the man that might open up the Juventus defence today.
And he's certainly a man who Brazil will be looking to in the World Cup finals. Dunga, such an influential player in the midfield for them. He played against East Germany, as I was saying, in the International in Rio at the weekend. I think he only played for 45 minutes, but he didn't arrive until late for this game, so I don't quite know how well prepared he is. But the early signs are that he's rearing to go. Here he is now, trying his luck from long range, as he often tends to do. Marocchi did well then. Alessio. The break is on for Juventus here. Dell'Olio away. Now Marocchi. Well, it's a fiery opening to the game. Plenty of passion about the final, of course, and Graziani hoping his team can find an early goal to really apply the pressure to Tacconi and the Juventus team. Here's the corner. Nappi was on the near post, but couldn't climb to that one. Tacconi, who's the #2 Italian goalkeeper behind Zenga, and he is a very, very efficient goalkeeper. No problem dealing with that one. Made some outstanding saves in the first leg, Tacconi. Certainly in that first half in Turin, Fiorentina had chances. It took one of them, and they ended up losing the game by 3-1. So they've a lot to do here in Avellino, especially having lost the advantage of playing the second leg at home. Di Chiara, who made some rapier thrusts in the first leg down that left flank, and he was caught then by Marocchi. Battistini. Juventus with everybody behind the ball. Don't go now. Great support for Fiorentina in the stadium. They may be a long way from home, but they're making themselves heard. But also a following for Juventus, around 5,000 of their supporters in the stadium. Chance, Baggio! The best opportunity so far for Fiorentina, and Baggio so nearly took advantage then. Di Chiara was in there too. Graziani was off his seat on the bench. Good chance that, Jerry.
Well, it's a very good chance, and I felt that he'd probably be a little bit disappointed he didn't finish that. That was a very, very good chance indeed.
Tacconi and his fellow defenders a little lucky to survive then. De Agostini taking the throw for Juventus. Schillaci. Here's Marocchi. Always looking to run and expose defenders. Battistini and Dunga. Whistle's gone. Free kick to Fiorentina. No. The referee, I think, has given it the other way, has he? I was right the first time. Nappi with Dunga. This is Battistini. I gather he's leaving too at the end of the season. A lot of departures from both clubs. Schillaci now. Taking on and getting the better of Volpatina until he held it back. And they've taken the free kick very quickly. But Fiorentina maintain their concentration at the back.
He's another player, Peter Schillaci, that I was very impressed with, and he does a lot of work, and he's a good little player, good skills, and very quick. I think he's another person that could well snatch the goal that Juventus want tonight, you know, just to make sure for themselves.
And Schillaci, just watching that cross in, then Schillaci certainly will be a contender for a place in the Italian starting lineup in the World Cup finals. They've had problems scoring goals, and they've been looking for a consistent and reliable partner alongside Gianluca Vialli, and Schillaci just might be the man. But the problem for Vicini, Jerry, the Italian coach, is where to fit Baggio in if he does. I mean, you see him as an out-and-out front player, or perhaps more like Paul Gascoigne of England coming through from midfield.
I think he's more of a front player than Paul, actually. I think he's a box player, as you see there on 2 occasions at the moment. He's just failed to curl one in the corner early on, and then he had a good chance just now with his left foot. I think he likes to wander a little bit to get away from the man marking that he has in Italy. But I would say they're not quite similar, but a lot of players like that become problems for managers because they're in between sometimes. But obviously it's a very talented player, one to have in the squad at any time.
Free kick to Juventus. Defending their lead still from the first leg. No goals so far in Avellino. And the second leg here of the UEFA Cup final. Juventus against Fiorentina. The first all-Italian final of the UEFA Cup. And of course the Italians hoping for a treble. Sampdoria have won the Cup Winners' Cup after their success over Sampdoria. And AC Milan are in the final of the Champions' Cup, defending their trophy. And that against Benfica next week. Dunga. Kubik. Dunga again, the two combining in their efforts to prise open the Juventus defence. Not this time, though. Two teams who had contrasting fortunes in the Italian league. Juventus, as I mentioned earlier, finishing joint third behind AC Milan at Napoli and Inter. They were, in fact, joint third with Inter. And Fiorentina only just escaped relegation. They finished 1 point outside the relegation zone after a convincing win on the last day of the season. Dell'Olio with a shot that's charged down. Busso, it's a tempting cross, and Tacconi stood his ground. Looks very confident on crosses, Tacconi.
He's very good to me, Peter, very good indeed. His handling's superb. He seems to be in the right place all the time. Very confident goalkeeper, and you know, and the captain as well. So you know, he's I think he's a good calming effect, just like his manager.
Dino Zoff, of course, one of the great goalkeepers of all time, and captain of the Italian side that won the World Cup back in '82. Down goes Dell'Olio and De Agostini. A clumsy challenge between the two. The outcome is a free kick to Fiorentina, and perhaps a chance for Dunga to crack one in from here. He's not happy, the referee. Now he is. There's Dunga, really drives them through. And, well, a deflection there could have been interesting. A lot of power on the free kick from Dunga. And we'll look out for him from set pieces and the likes of Branco, the other Brazilian, and Valdo and company in the World Cup finals. The Brazilians so imaginative, of course, from set pieces. Tacconi won't be too pleased with that goal kick, though. Battistini for Fiorentina. Foraging hard in their efforts to pull a goal back. They'll have to do better than that, though. The service will need to be better to Baggio and to Busso. Tacconi, 32 years old now. Hoping he'll get his chance in the World Cup finals, but Zenga is the first choice. Kubik. caught in possession. Volpacina rather committed himself then too. Scalacci, who's a constant menace with his probing runs up front. Shot goes wide, but not too far, beyond that far post. Scalacci, who finished third highest goal scorer in the Italian league behind Baggio and Marco Van Basten. Van Basten with 19, Baggio 17, and Scalacci was very unlucky then. Scored 15 in his first season in the top flight.
I felt that was a good half chance there, Peter, as well. He probably could have got that on target. I know he had to do it quickly, but looking at the game now, it's settled down a little bit. I think Fiorentina are giving the ball away far too much in the last third, and I feel that they've got to keep the ball and try and get a bit of width, because they play with a sweeper system, Juventus, and at the moment they're playing a lot of straight balls straight into their hands.
Here's the free kick. The referee waving play on. It was an untidy collision just outside the penalty area. Dell'Olio. Now Kubik. Battistini. Here's Nappi. And the cross was just overhit. Nappi, who scored a breakaway goal in the semi-final, and what an important one that was against Werder Bremen in Germany. But the onus is on Fiorentina to attack tonight. If it stays 0-0, that'll be enough to win the trophy for Juventus. Dunga's pass, Nappi was caught offside. Lenikov, preferred in the starting lineup to his compatriot Zavarov. And that'll be a goal kick to Fiorentina. What a handful Scalacci is up front. And the Fiorentina defender certainly can't afford to relax with Scalacci around and Rui Baros marauding too. Casiraghi. The referee allowing the advantage, which didn't really turn into one for Juventus, and then Nappi again offside. So he's been caught twice now in 60 seconds or so. Just a reminder that you can, of course, see that European Cup final, Benfica against AC Milan. A mouth-watering prospect indeed. That's on Wednesday the 23rd of May, 2300 and 2200 in the UK. A match I'm certainly looking forward to, and I hope you'll join us for that on Eurosport. The shot's got through. Landucci was guarding his post as Casiraghi let fly. The man who scored that controversial second goal in the first leg. And I think the referee, Jerry, was the only man on the ground who didn't see that push on that goal of Casiraghi's.
Well, he must have been, I think, because that was so blatant. But I think Juventus must be very pleased at the moment. They've been very positive. They've had a number of little half chances, and really they must be very, very pleased with the early start.
They seem to have settled now after Fiorentina's early flourish. But here's Dunga. Dell'Olio, who wanders all over the field. A foul committed then by Kubik, spotted by the referee. 25 minutes of the first half gone, still no goals on the night. Juventus 3-1 up from the first leg. They've had to wait 5 years for success, Juventus. Their last triumph was against Liverpool on that ill-fated night in the Heysel Stadium in the final of the European Cup. And until they won the Italian Cup recently, they'd gone without a trophy of any kind. And for a club of their stature, that was a very unwarranted delay. Certainly an unwanted one anyway. Disappointment for Baggio, looking daggers at the referee. And the talk is that Baggio will be joining his opponents tonight, Juventus, come the end of the season. Nothing confirmed as yet, he's certainly moving. And Juventus are very much the favourites to sign him. As I mentioned in the first leg, he's been seen parading in a Juventus shirt, which does suggest that that's his choice. And it'll cost them a mere £9 or £10 million. Smile then from Joey Francis, who once spent £10 on a player, I think. That's a different class, isn't it?
£9.50, Peter.
Jerry, actually, you received a cheque, didn't you, for getting the Manager of the Year award in the 3rd Division for £1,000. Tell us what you told the people about that. Just to see this move here first. But,
well, I did say that I was very pleased to receive it because it enabled me to buy a player. But when I saw it was £1,000, I said, well, I can buy two. So it went down. I actually give it to the players in the end, actually. So they deserve it. They achieved the winning the championship.
It was a marvellous season for you, wasn't it? Bristol Rovers, you've had so many problems behind the scenes. You don't have your own ground, and you triumphed in the end. Yeah,
we've still got one other important game as well, Peter, to go on Sunday at Wembley, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Yes, the Leyland DAF final. Bristol Rovers against Tranmere Rovers. That's the 3rd and 4th Division Cup final at Wembley. The wall did its job, and again, this time away by Battistini. It's Gallia, who's a cool and phlegmatic character, and a calming influence too, Gallia, as well as popping up with a useful goal or two. Dino's off, wondering if his last game in charge is going to be a night of triumph. Alenikov. And they just seem at the moment, Jerry, Juventus to have taken the sting out of Fiorentina.
I think that's exactly right, Peter. Zino's off must be very pleased at the moment. You know, we're into 30 minutes of the game, no score, and Fiorentina are going to have to liven it up a little bit. They need to get people forward a little bit more.
And there's a yellow card. First of the game. And we can see it again. Dell'Olio, all arms and legs. And that's a caution for him. Antonio Dell'Olio. Long-serving player at Ascoli before moving to Fiorentina last summer. And his is the first name taken by referee Schmidhuber. Is back on his feet and able to continue. Just. Alenikov taking the free kick. Casiraghi, he's turned Peen. He's a strong running striker, this Casiraghi. Thought really is something of a stopgap by Juventus, but he's done well this season. He's kept his place in the side. He's embarrassed a defender or two throughout the campaign. Over the bar from Napoli.
They have quite a lot of success with their corners, Peter. You know, they did in the first leg, and they're rather dangerous at corners, more so than Fiorentina, who were quite disappointed in the first leg with their corners.
Fiorentina have got to the final without scoring too many goals, really. 0-0's on the way, winning on away goals, and they've had quite a fight of it. But they need 2 if they're to deny Juventus the trophy. 2 at least, of course. 2-0 is the very minimum they want. Dunga finding Baggio, who found a little space here. But the knockdown safely in the arms of Cecconi. Di Chiara.
That's a better move though, Peter. I think they knocked it about a little bit there, got a bit of width and knocked the ball in the box. That's what they're going to need to do to get behind this sweeper system.
Juventus in the main, defending well and tightly. And Cecconi will collect that kind of ball all night long. A half an hour gone in the first half. Fiorentina 0, Juventus 0 in Avellino, the neutral ground. For anyone coming in late, the reason they're playing here is that Fiorentina were forced to play away from home because of trouble in the semi-final against Werder Bremen. But still the majority of supporters from Fiorentina in the stadium, hoping to lift their team. But this is Alenikov, Soviet Union international, swapping passes with Gallia, who was then nicked by Baggio. And the referee doesn't stand on ceremony. He's taking no nonsense at all. With 13 minutes of the first half to go, it's De Agostini with the free kick for Juventus. And the offender this time was Casiraghi. Fiorentina, who were the first winners of the Cup Winners' Cup back in 1961, that was their only European success. And they're in their first UEFA Cup final. And they're posing a problem here. Appeals for a penalty, nothing given. Oh, then the referee's in the way. And now he's, well, given the free kick to Juventus. What do you make of that one, Jerry?
Well, I didn't think it was a penalty that they appealed for, but I can't understand what he gave there for that decision. But that was a much better move from Fiorentina. They played about 4 or 5 passes and got into the box with a good move. And although it wasn't a penalty, that's a lot better.
Well, Busso was enraged by the decision. I must admit, it looked an innocuous challenge to me. I don't think Graziani was too impressed by the referee's verdict either. He doesn't look so ferocious, Graziani, Jerry, does he, from his playing days?
Not there, no, but if you played against him like I have, he can be.
And Dino's off, I'm sure, was another one you faced.
Yeah, that's right, yes.
Well, they had a marvellous side, the Italians, of course, back in the early 80s. Graziani up front, Dino's off in goal. Paolo Rossi, another former Juventus player. But Juventus themselves have been disappointing in recent seasons. They've not really replaced the likes of Boniek and Rossi. Ian Rush was disappointing.
I think sometimes as well, Peter, you know, they make so many changes so quickly that sometimes it's very difficult to get a settled side sometimes. You know, I mean, we're talking today about so many players going to be there and not be there, and managers that know when they're going to be there and when they're going to be leaving. You know, it must be very difficult to work under those sort of circumstances.
Yes, they've signed Hasta, the West German, for next season. Julio Cesar, the big Brazilian defender. And also Stefan Reuter, I think, is coming from Cologne. So that's 3. Possibly Baggio as well. So it'll take on a new format, a new shape next season, Juventus. Perhaps there'll be a letter from the chairman for you when you get home. Ten minutes of the first half to go. A free kick to Juventus. De Agostini. Battistini away. Sturdy, obdurate defender Battistini. Whistles from the crowd. Bruno unruffled. Baggio pleading his innocence. Here's Alenikov for Juventus. Schillaci was beaten in the air by Volpacina. His marker, Kubik's pass. Busso was on loan from Juventus to Fiorentina, so I would imagine they had mixed reactions when he scored against them in the first leg. It showed what he could do. That was almost awkward for the goalkeeper then. But I wonder how Juventus might feel if Busso popped up with a couple of goals tonight and denied them the trophy.
There'll probably be a couple of people with dark glasses waiting for him afterwards, Peter.
Well, he's definitely going back to Juventus, from what I gather. Dunga. Alenikov, who's playing very deep. Can't be such a positive player, Alenikov, but it's a more defensive role for him. And that was Dunga, hoping to make an impact for Fiorentina. A couple of scares in the first half for Tacconi, but not really enough from Fiorentina's point of view. Rui Barros. But always the threat of a goal on the break from Juventus. Now here's Alenikov, crossing the halfway line at last. They've got players up here, Juventus, but they've given it away. Still the threat is on, into the side netting. Baggio for Fiorentina. What a fillip it would be for them to find a goal now before half-time. Nappi, who hasn't been at his most influential in the first half. A couple of runs early on, but not too much since. Here's Dunga, how hard he's working. Well, they often say, Joey, that Brazilians are all flair, but this fellow Dunga really puts himself about as well, doesn't he?
Very much so. Works very, very hard. In fact, un-Brazilian-like, really. I think there's a bit of a problem that Fiorentina have got tonight, though. In the first leg, where Juventus were coming at them, and Fiorentina was able to sit back and catch them on the break, which they did very, very well. Tonight it's the other way round, and they're finding it a little bit difficult. And I think half-time will be a good chance for the manager to change a few things and get people forward a little bit more, because Juventus now, after the early start, are basically sitting back there playing the sweeper system, and they'll be quite content to play this game out at 0-0. So Fiorentina have got to make it happen. They need the goals, so they've got to do something about it.
Here's the free kick then for Juventus. As Jerry says, quite happy at 0-0. Battistini. Dunga. Here he is again. Fiorentina will be hoping he doesn't tire in the second half, Dunga, after his exertions for Brazil. Also the travelling involved too from Rio. But he's looking fresh enough at the moment. And most of Fiorentina's better moves are stemming from this man here, Dunga. 5 minutes to half-time. It was Battistini with the cross. Again, Juventus have dealt with it. Schillaci with Rui Barros. Good early ball, but too long. Fiorentina having a lot of the ball, but not really doing enough with it. Dunga now. Can they penetrate this Juventus defence? Nappi, but Alenikov was in so quickly. Here's Baggio. Busso. And he was clattered there. Well, it was a late tackle. Busso seems to be making the most of it, I have to say, but it's a booking anyway. Yellow card for Bruno. I mean, it was a foul, Joey, no doubt, but the Italians do like to underline the fact that it's a foul.
Yeah, he's obviously blocked him off from getting the 1-2 there back. I mean, I think the referee has perhaps overreacted a couple of times at the moment. That's 2 bookings, you know, and you start to get that stage where bookings start flying around, because if he's going to do it for that, he's going to do it for something else a little bit later, and all of a sudden you have players sent off. So, you know, also it's very difficult as well. I remember playing for England and in European football, and some of the mentality of the South Americans and the Italians, any little knock and they go down running all over the place, and it's very difficult when you first encounter that.
Very frustrating too, I would think.
Just a little bit, Peter.
Well, it's a caution for Pasquale Bruno, and a free kick for Fiorentina. And Marocchi just checking that his goalkeeper is happy with that 4-man wall and its position. They know the potential of Dunga from set pieces. Kubik is there too. And here is Kubik. And it came off Nappi, and if he hadn't got in the way, that might at least have forced a save from Tacconi. As it was deflected off Nappi, ricocheted off him, and it's a goal kick to Juventus. But apart from those couple of scares early on, Jerry, really they haven't tested Tacconi too much, have they?
Not at all, Peter. I mean, the 2 early chances were both in the box. Since then, really, they haven't really got any chances near the box. And I think they're going to have to change 1 or 2 things at half-time.
Play on, says the referee. Down goes Dunga. And now, here's the counter-attack. Scalacci. Casiraghi, and pulled away outside him. Good intervention, though, by Peen. Now, Kubik. Just over a minute to go in the first half. Alenikov was in the way. Rui Barros given away to Dell'Olio. A lot of possession still from Fiorentina. Can they make it count? Busso to Dunga. That's neat play by Nappi. Making for the byline, and Alenikov again showing his defensive ability.
I think, Peter, with Baggio and Busso, they have got 2 players that are capable of opening this Juventus defence. But if you see Baggio the last 10 minutes...
Well, the header going wide.
If you see Baggio the last 10 minutes, he's been coming deeper and deeper into the middle of the park, trying to get a touch of the ball. And really, they want to be giving him the ball in and around the box, because that's where he's most dangerous.
So another attack, another corner, comes to nothing. And with just a few seconds of the first half remaining, it looks as if it's going to be a goalless first 45 minutes. There's the clock, showing that we're now very nearly into time added on for stoppages. I wouldn't think there'll be too much time. Alenikov with the free kick. And spot on. Well, there we are. The final whistle in the first half. And it's been a frustrating one for Fiorentina. They've had a couple of good chances, but Juventus have defended well. And at half-time, it's Fiorentina 0, Juventus 0. So Juventus still with that advantage. 3-1 from the first leg in Turin. We'll be back with the second half. Join us again after the break. So the scene is set in the Partita Stadium in Avellino for the second half of the UEFA Cup Finals second leg. Juventus now 45 minutes away from winning their first trophy in Europe, that is, since 1985, and one that would crown an excellent comeback season for them, as I think you'd call this. They've won the Italian Cup, they did well in the Italian League, and now they're hoping to add to that the UEFA Cup. No goals at half-time. Fiorentina, just to recap, need to score 2, and of course not to concede any more. Fiorentina now attacking the goal to our left, and this is Dunga. Jerry Francis, former England captain, alongside me here in the commentary position. What would you have said at half-time if you were the Fiorentina coach?
Well, if I was Dino Zoff, obviously I'd be delighted with the way things are going. I'd just say keep it the same for the next 45 minutes and the trophy will be ours. But if I was Graziano, I would be concerned a little bit that we haven't put them under too much pressure and that we have to make it happen. I'd be looking to try and get more bodies forward and cause them a few problems, which they haven't done much except for the early stages of the first half.
They haven't really stretched Juventus, have they?
Not at all. I mean, they basically had a lot of the ball in front of them, but caused them no problems getting in behind them or around the back of them, or even getting in the ball into the box. And they've got to do that if they're going to get this opening.
But one goal could put a whole new complexion on this final. One goal for Fiorentina, that is. One more for Juventus could settle it. Schillaci. Easily shrugged aside, though. Dunga's pass. It's a hasty clearance. Delalio to Kubik. Another who will be parading his talents at the World Cup Finals. Kubik, the Czechoslovakian player. And I'll ask you, Jerry, in a moment about some of the players we're seeing here who will be featuring in the World Cup Finals. Kubik is certainly one of them, the Czech, and Dunga, the Brazilian we've seen here, and the Italians, of course. What are your thoughts about one or two of these?
Well, again, I think that the situation with the World Cup is it's all about what happens on the actual tournament. You know, I mean, I feel that England a few years ago went into the competition with a great record behind them, and it was very disappointing on the actual event.
You see this free kick from Dunga. Here's Morocchi. The players are going to be tired after a long season, of course. Can they adapt? Can they adjust?
I think you're tired, but I mean, the World Cup, I mean, it's such a magnificent achievement. It's such a great setting that, you know, I mean, I played a few World Cup qualifying games before I was injured, and it's one of the biggest regrets, you know, that you couldn't actually go to a World Cup competition and play there, and I think everybody wants to play there, so I'm sure that they'll be raring to go. But I think on the day, really, it's got to be the team or the squad that actually does it at the tournament. You know, I mean, we've gone there with another tremendous record so far, unbeaten in so many games. But the main thing is we've got to do it on the day.
And of course we're building up towards the World Cup, and there you saw notice of our World Cup preview programme. We're going through all the groups and the weeks leading up to the finals. So I hope you're following those programmes on Eurosport with us. Dino's off, and I'm sure he'll be as anxious as anyone to win this trophy, not only for himself and for Juventus, but also for Scirea, of course, his former playing colleague and former assistant, who so tragically died earlier in the season while on a scouting mission for this very competition. So that will be on the mind, I'm sure, of Dino Zoff. Free kick to Fiorentina. Now Dunga ushering players forward. He wants more support. Battistini has come up with him. Here's Dunga. Busso trying to manoeuvre an opening for himself. twisting one way then the other, but there's no way past this packed Juventus defence. It's very compact, and so far it's withstood anything but Fiorentina can throw at it. Dell'Olio, who's been booked. Making sure that he's not receiving a red card, rather. He's had the yellow one already. 5 minutes almost into the second half. Dunga's pass. Nappi turned sharply. We saw his shooting potential in the first leg, and that's the first real opportunity he's had in the return. Past the post, Taconi will tell you he had it covered. But you do sense, Joey, one goal could just turn this around now.
Oh, one goal would make all the difference, especially if it's Fiorentina, obviously. I mean, they only need 2 goals, and it only takes a second to score a goal. That's what I always tell my players.
Well, it's worked often enough for you this season. You got a few late goals too, didn't you, at Bristol Rovers?
Yeah, quite a few.
That's offside. Perseverance paid off for Bristol Rovers in their run to the 3rd Division Championship. Will it pay off for Fiorentina, or will Juventus go on to take the UEFA trophy? So much success, of course, for Juventus in the early 80s and earlier years. Another caution this time for Nappi. Juventus, who won the Italian Championship 22 times, that's a record. And the Italian Cup, a record 8 times as well. And they're the only European club to have won every title available, including the World Club Trophy. So it's a hard act to follow for the current team. But they're in the driving seat here. 0-0 and 3-1 up from the first leg.
Again, Peter, another book in there, if there's going to be any more serious challenges like that, or challenges like that, they've got to be bookings as well, and it makes you wonder when the first player's going to be sent off.
Busso. Kubik. It's a corner. They've taken it quickly. Taconi stayed on his line, and Nappi couldn't make any effective attempt at the cross. But it's another corner. Gallia organising the troops around him. Kubik to take this one. That's the corner count so far. 5-4 in favour of Fiorentina. Well, they haven't got a goal yet. Again, it's easily cleared. And then Volpacino was leaning all over Schillaci. He's playing with so much confidence, Schillaci. Relatively unknown when he signed for Juventus from Messina.
Again, a very disappointing corner there, Peter. They've been very poor with their corners, their dead ball situations. They're trying to play into the near post to one player, and Juventus have got that well sussed out, and they've been very disappointed with their corners.
Busso. There's Baggio in support here. Now, can he get something going here, or perhaps Dunga can? Audaciously through with the outside of the foot. Nappi, surrounded by Juventus defenders. They're defending in numbers, Juventus. Kubik, good save by Taconi. Volpacino. Down he tumbles. A suggestion of a flare-up, and it's a free kick to Fiorentina. Now Dunga. It all revolves around him. Sweeping pass then. Dell'Olio. Kubik. Good turn. Bills are waved aside by the referee. Kubik. And maybe if players didn't dive quite so dramatically in the penalty area, they might get more sympathy from the referees. Di Chiara. Long cross. Here's Baggio. Two waiting in the middle. Didn't reach Nappi though. The pressure coming in here from Fiorentina.
Well, I have seen penalties given for less than that sometimes. You know, it's a little shove there, but he's made a meal of it again, and as you say, that could well be the difference.
It's Baggio. That was a clumsy tackle, and another yellow card, this time for Olenikov, and as Jerry Francis was saying, he's given one caution for a fairly innocuous one earlier on, and now he's having to dish out yellow cards all over the place. Having said that, it was a pretty ferocious challenge from Olenikov, and certainly deserved a free kick, and I reckon the caution too. So more defending here for Juventus. Fiorentina taking the game to them and hoping for the goal that will bring them back in this final. They need to score at least two. Rui Barros was in the way. Baggio. Well, it was good skill, but still, that's such a barrier that they're facing. Pin shot goes through. Very unhappy about the challenge. And perhaps claiming a corner too. Celeste Pin, who's been around a while. 8 years with Fiorentina and around 200 appearances for them.
They're still doing very well though, Peter, Juventus. They're keeping them at arm's length. You know, most of the shots that have come in, that's good shots just now from Kubrick, the keeper palmed away. But, you know, it must have all been 30 yards. They're not getting anything in the box, any chances in the box. They're keeping them at arm's length, and they're doing very well.
And they have a free kick here. This is Morocchi. Player who's come on in leaps and bounds for Juventus over the past couple of seasons. Scalacci now. Down he goes. It's a free kick. The foul by Kubik. Juventus turned to Scalacci really as something of a last resort when efforts to sign better-known players fell through. But Scalacci, what a revelation he's been. Scalacci, well, at the end it was a free header. There looked to be some jostling going on. And Volpacina felt he was fouled. What did you make of that one, Jerry?
Well, it's a good chance there. I mean, there was a bit of pushing and shoving, but at the end of the day he got free, and a free header in the, well, 6-yard box. He should have done better than that.
That's a foul on Busso, which has angered him. And Bruno could be in trouble here. He's been sent off. The yellow card in the first half, and now the red one. And Juventus, in dramatic fashion here, are down to 10 men. 2 fouls, indicates the referee, and well, you can't really argue with that. He was cautioned in the first half, and the second offence was certainly a bookable one. He swept the legs from underneath Busso. No arguments there, surely, Jerry.
No, you could see it coming though. You know, I think some of the bookings obviously were warranted, and some of them were for minor things, but after you do so many, eventually someone's going to be done twice. But it could open the game up now.
Well, the chance is certainly there for Fiorentina. Volpacina here. It's a corner. How will Juventus readjust? They've lost Bruno, a key defender for them. He's the strong man at the back. Baggio. Well, it was rather foolish, really, of Bruno. He'd seen the referee taking names, issuing yellow cards. He'd had one himself, and he was asking for trouble, really. It's Baggio now. A quarter of an hour into the second half, and Tacconi just about holding on.
Did well there, the goalkeeper, Peter, didn't he? Because it was over his head and it was a difficult one. He'd done well, good handling.
And it must be very reassuring for the Juventus defenders to have a man like Tacconi as their last line of defence. Foul then by Battistini, who was clambering all over Casiraghi. But as the game goes on, Jerry, you wonder now how important those two second-half goals in the first leg are proving to be, to one rather bizarre goal and one controversial goal.
And I'm sure that Fiorentina are sort of very disappointed at the chances that they missed, Peter, as well, because they had some good chances, didn't they?
Well, they certainly did. And although they've not had all that many openings so far in this game, one or two have gone begging. And the game is certainly there still to be won.
I must say, looking at the game, it would be lovely to see Liverpool and our own teams playing in these competitions again.
Well, we've seen plenty of style from the European teams, certainly from the likes of AC Milan and Real Madrid. And yes, it would be marvellous to see Liverpool and the other leading English sides back in there competing. And I think Europe would like them back as well, Joe. There's no doubt about it. Winning the European titles doesn't have quite the same impact without the English teams there.
Well, I think that they want us back. I think that's something they've already said, and it's such a shame that you know, it doesn't help our national game or anything, because we're not playing against teams from all over Europe with different techniques, different systems, and it's vital that we get back into Europe. And not only that, you know, before we were banned from Europe, I mean, we were probably the best country in terms of winning things, other than West Germany. I mean, we won the European Cup, was virtually our own.
Battistini chipping it through. Baggio is offside. I mean, what a prospect that would be, Liverpool against AC Milan. I mean, it takes the breath away, doesn't it, just to think about it? Well,
it does really, and it's so disappointing that we're not there. And, you know, because I think that without doubt, Liverpool and one or two other teams in the First Division are capable of not only competing but winning these competitions, and we've proved it in the past. And obviously, as you say, AC Milan and Liverpool and games like that would be breathtaking.
Came off Battistini there, Schillaci chasing. And he's chased everything in Juventus's cause in this final. Ha! Just as I say that, he slips, he must have heard me. Rui Barros, busy figure. Oh, it's a clever play though by Dunga. He makes it all look so easy when he just drags the ball back like that. Kubik. Napi. The crowd find their voices again in support of Fiorentina, but they're still being continually frustrated by this Juventus defence. Dunga taking the corner. Didn't really get enough height, enough power on the kick though. Alenikov was there. Dunga will try again. Battistini was arriving at the far post and his stride was checked, but he is adjudged the offender. But they haven't got too much height in there, Joey, on the corners, have they?
No, they did better just now. They took a little short one to Baggio, didn't they? And he got by the fellow on the line and nearly got a cross in. I think they've got to vary it, because again the corner, the first one was again short and knocked away. You've got to change when things are not working. You've got to change your system. You've got to change it around.
The referee has given the free kick to Juventus. Schillaci, who's having a real old battle with Volpacina. And this time, the referee deciding in his favour. a waste and out for a throw-in. Graziani beginning to wonder now if time is against his side. They've got to get these 2 goals back, and there's no sign at the moment of a goal for them. But here's Baggio. If anyone can make it happen, it's him. Volpacina now. Breaking free from his defensive role. Dunga. Good effort, and touched over the bar by Taccone. What a night he's having in goal. Dunga, who's not afraid to try his luck from any range, really. And in his repertoire that time was a shot that certainly tested Taccone. But he looks equal to anything, really. Here's the corner. Fired in by Kubik. De Agostini headed it away. Schillaci now. Inseparable from Volpacina.
A good strike there by Dunga. You know, he's got two great feet. But if I was Graziani now, I'd be probably looking for maybe a couple of substitutions, or at least one, and try something different, make something happen.
Rui Barros. Yes, what threats there have been so far to Juventus have been from long range, Jerry. They haven't got into the danger area enough.
Yeah, it's been the problem. I think they haven't got round the back of Juventus, which is their only opportunity. I think you've got to get wide, you've got to get width and get round the back, and then you've got to get your crosses, and your final ball's got to be right. They've been very disappointing with their final balls. That goes for dead ball situations as well. I mean, the corners again there, they're not even getting past the first man. And you know, if I was manager, I'd be very disappointed with the dead ball situations.
And those 3 goals from the first leg beginning to look more and more significant now as this return leg wears on. Volpacina outsmarting Schillaci. Here's Dunga. Battistini now with Kubik. Battistini wanting to go all the way, and that was a splendid run then from the Fiorentina captain. Again, it was from long range, but he just for a moment then suggested that he might have found a way through.
I don't think you'll find that's far away, Peter. Actually, that's a good little move and a great shot. That's not too far away.
Well, Taccone looked confident, but I'm not so sure that his confidence was well placed then. Only just past that post. So, fresh hope for Fiorentina, who are still in there fighting.
I think you've got to give a lot of credit to Juventus as well. They just lost a man sent off, yet they've reorganised superbly well, and it looks as if nothing's changed. You know, when they lose the ball, they just furrow back into the edge of the box, keep it nice and tight. You know, their system has been very good tonight.
Territorially, Fiorentina having so much of the play now, but they badly need a goal. Nappi's pass, here's Baggio, hits it first time. Taccone perfectly placed, right behind it, and Baggio swerving onto his right foot, hitting it straight at Taccone. But again, that's astute goalkeeping, that's positioning for you.
He had a bit of room there, didn't he, Baggio, in the middle of the goal, which is unlike the Juventus defence this evening. They had a little bit of time there. They snatched at it, didn't quite hit as much as he would like to have done, I don't think. But again, the keeper's looked very, very safe, isn't he?
Here's Kubik now. Fiorentina still pressing. Well, Baggio thought about the shot then. There was a gasp from the crowd. Battistini's pass. Dunga elegantly through. Oh, great save. Busso now. Di Chiara, who had the first shot. Baggio, and off Alenikov for the corner.
Well, that's more like it, Pete. That's a good ball in, a good cross in, a good header and a great save. That's a lot more like it.
What an inspired match Taccone is having. That really was a superb stop then from Di Chiara. It seemed he had to score. And somehow he kicked the ball out. And then the effort from Busso was to come to nothing either. But a free kick to Fiorentina, and against the 10 men of Juventus. They're looking a little more dangerous now. Here's Dunga. Hooked back in again. Di Chiara. Striding away from Alessio. Dunga with Nappi. A wrestling match, and the referee waves play on. Rightly so too. But with 20 minutes to go, Fiorentina are really setting about their task now. The urgency is there, but still Tacconi defies them. And if Juventus do hold on and take this trophy, they'll certainly have Tacconi to thank for his performances over the two matches. And indeed throughout the European campaign. Oh, Busso, that went recklessly into the tackle.
That deserves a book in that one, Peter.
That was very foolhardy indeed from Busso. Remember, he's going back to join these opponents next season. They might remember that one.
Sure they will, yeah.
Five-a-sides could be interesting.
I would.
Renato Busso, the latest to receive the yellow card. And here is the substitution then to be made by Fiorentina. Mauro Zironelli is going to come on. He's a pretty lively front runner, and he might just pep up the attack. Nappi going off, and I think Juventus want to make a switch as well, bringing on Avalone for Rui Barros. So it's a farewell to Juventus for Rui Barros. He's getting an appreciative round of applause too from the Juventus supporters. It seems pretty certain he's going to be leaving. Avalone now has his chance for Juventus as they look to defend this lead. Gallia. He's a tidy player, Gallia. He's not given too much away. And of course he was one of the scorers, remember, in that first leg. Kubik trying to turn away from Alenikov. Dunga's pass. Baggio frustrated again. It's De Agostini down.
I think Peter Nappi was very disappointing, wasn't he, today? And I think they probably pushed Zaranoli up through the middle to play where he has been playing. But he was very disappointed because he had some good runs in the first leg, didn't he?
Certainly did, but he hasn't been as prominent in the second leg, and he won't get the chance now. He's gone off. And Zironelli is on. Graziani. Wondering now if it's all too late. Dunga. Dell'Olio. This is Avalone with Scalacci now, and Dunga back in possession for Fiorentina. He's been at the heart of almost everything that Fiorentina have attempted. Certainly doesn't appear to be tiring in any way. Still Dunga here. Well, the substitute did well then, Zironelli.
It's a good half chance that. Done well, good skills, flicked it over. Had a chance of a half volley there, which he must be disappointed he didn't quite connect right with.
Promising young player, just 20, and he fashioned the chance for himself well then, but rather hit his shot into the ground. But again, we saw Dunga involved in the build-up, Jerry, and I'm sure, as you were saying earlier on, he's a player who's impressed you, and I don't know what you've seen of the Brazilians, but it must help them that players like Dunga are playing in Italy already, or certainly playing in Europe, a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen England play Brazil, and seen a bit on the television, and they're a very hard-working side, actually, the side that's going to the World Cup. But they've got the same skill in there, and I was very privileged to play against Brazil in Los Angeles, and people like Zico and Rivellino, and against the greatest player that I ever played against, and I felt myself was the greatest player, and that was Pelé. So I've been very lucky in my career.
Well, the Brazilians have got some names to look forward to, certainly in the World Cup from the matches I've seen, but we'll just stay with the action here. And that free kick is right on the edge of the area.
That was close, Peter, wasn't it?
It wasn't far away from a penalty. 15 minutes to go.
Baggio did well there, I felt.
He's so elusive at times, he weaves his way past defenders, and he was right on the edge then. Another altercation with the referee. But just to pick up the point again about the Brazilians, I mean, they're going to be one of the favourites, and Italy, of course, as the host nation.
I think you've got to look at, the names. Brazil are going to be difficult to beat, and they've got the flair to sort of take things on. Italy, because they're going to be the host country, and they're going to be at home, and they're a fair side, they're going to have a good chance. You can't disregard the Dutch, because I still think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. There's England. I mean, England are more than capable of being there. There's no doubt about that. We are more than capable of actually winning it. It's just how you perform on the day and in the tournament. And if we can perform to what we're capable of, I think we've got a very good chance.
Well, Fiorentina have an excellent opportunity here now that Baggio is back on his feet. Just look how close that was to the penalty area. 5-6 in the wall for Juventus. Tacconi prancing on his goal line, or just in front of it there. Now, will Dunga try one from here, or Baggio perhaps? Here is Baggio! The save by Tacconi again. Alenikov whacks it away. And so often over the two legs, Tacconi has come to the rescue of Juventus.
It's a good save again, isn't it? He's got down quickly there.
Baggio's beaten the wall, but he's covered it. Dunga with a corner.
It's a little bit unfortunate there, Fiorentina. They didn't have anybody following up there, Peter, in that area. Because, he's pushed it away, but anyone following up could have had a great chance of just putting them right in with a chance of the game.
Casiraghi is the player who's down on the ground, writhing in agony. He looks as if he had perhaps a hamstring pull, or certainly I don't think he's putting that on. What does that suggest to you, Jerry?
Looks like a hamstring, yeah.
You've had one or two of those, I suppose?
Yeah, one or two, yeah. I think going back, Peter, to England there, nothing would give me greater pleasure than to see them win the World Cup, because I think that it would give the game in this country the ultimate lift, particularly at government level, because I feel over the last few years we've taken a lot of stick, which probably wasn't warranted in some areas, and it would give everybody a tremendous boost to win the World Cup in this country.
Well, that we'll have to wait to see. In the meantime, we're into the closing stages of the UEFA Cup final, and Mauro Pierluigi Casiraghi will be taking no further part in this game. Rosa has come on as his substitute. But so often Tacconi, the goalkeeper, has stood between Fiorentina and a goal that would just bring them back into the final. Juventus, remember, down to 10 men, with Bruno having been sent off in the second half. But can Fiorentina find a way past Stefan Tacconi? Well, it won't be for the want of trying. Zironelli taking the throw. Volpacina, who's been seen so often in an advanced role in the second half. Kubik turned well. Tacconi's there again. And this time it didn't squirm away from him. He held on, and he he has held a lot of shots, Jerry, isn't he? That one got away a minute or so back.
This is a good save, and he's held that well. He's bounced in front of him as well. I just feel now the last 5 or 10 minutes or whatever it is left, Juventus are going to get tired. They work very, very hard with 10 men, and it may well be now that we might have 1 or 2 chances come through. And if they get a goal, doesn't matter if it's 5, 6, 7 minutes, they're going to be hectic minutes if they can get this goal.
10 minutes to go. Battistini. It's still 0-0 on the night. 3-1 to Juventus from the first leg in Turin. Kubik's cross. Oh, Ciccone lost that one. Oh, will allow him one mistake. And he rather made a mess of that one.
Yeah, he flapped at that one. That wasn't good goalkeeping, but this is the only mistake so far he's made.
The Juventus supporters are happy enough. Their team are edging nearer and nearer to winning the UEFA Cup. They won it back in 1977 when they beat Athletic Bilbao. Dino Zoff, their goalkeeper then. Is he going to lead them to another triumph, this time as coach? But Dunga now will have other ideas for Fiorentina. Battistini. Now for Kubik. He's got a sweet left foot, this fellow. Dunga now. Di Chiara. Got away from his marker. Dunga! So often, shots of cannon back off defenders.
Yeah, to be fair to Fiorentina, they've not had many breaks. They've had some great strikes and they've come back off Juventus players, 2 Juventus players. They've been a bit unlucky in the box there a few times.
Di Chiara now. Alessio sticking with him. Di Chiara went lunging in. And that'll have to be another yellow card. Di Chiara, well, in fairness to him, no arguments. And he wouldn't have had much of a case there. But they've started to stretch Juventus once or twice down the flanks, haven't they now?
Yeah, they've started to make use of their spare man, which it's not always to do sometimes. Sometimes 10 men, when the team goes down to 10 men, sometimes it's very difficult, but you've got to keep your heads and make use of the spare man. They've done a lot better in the last 5 or 10 minutes, and they've had quite a number of shots on goal.
But those minutes are ticking away, and Juventus are still in control. Dunga now, who most certainly does not deserve to be on the losing side. Battistini, the captain. Good turn again by Zironelli. But the final pass was rather woeful. And I think if you're a betting man, your money will be on Juventus now.
In fact, I'm surprised, Peter, that Fiorentina, over the 2 legs, have had such a poor season in the league.
Well, they've obviously saved up their better performances for the European ties. But if that was the case, it almost cost them their First Division status. And they were, as I mentioned earlier on, in real trouble right up until the last day of the season. But they're an attractive side, they're an attacking team. They've always had this reputation down the years, Fiorentina. And as you say, Jerry, they certainly haven't looked a bad side over these 2 games at all. But they found Juventus a really tough nut to crack. Di Chiara now. Again probing down that left flank. Didn't fall for Busso. Baggio elegantly through. Well, there was the skill of Baggio, and Busso with the final shot. But Baggio inside the penalty area. Just look at this for cheek.
That's a great little flick over to Busso, and he hasn't quite connected with the bicycle kick, has he? A bit unfortunate there.
Well, that moment of magic then from Baggio reminds you of Paul Gascoigne. I mean, there are similarities and comparisons, aren't there?
Yeah, similar. I mean, he's got similar skills, and that little tricks that he does, similar to Paul.
And Gascoigne will also be hoping to make his mark on the world stage when those finals begin in Italy. Schillaci now. He'll be there with the Italian side. Alenikov will be playing for the Soviet Union. De Agostini. And his cross, rather disappointing for an Italian international defender. A lot of competition for places in the Italian squad, and De Agostini will be hopeful of being in the starting lineup. Now Baggio. Zironelli. Dunga. Juventus happy to sit back. They have players the ball. And they're just soaking up Fiorentina's pressure. And if they have got through Fiorentina, well, they found Tacconi in quite magnificent form. 5 minutes left. Can Fiorentina do it? Or will Juventus hold on to take the trophy? As is seeming now more and more likely. Landucci's long kick upfield. Alenikov away. Delalio. Here's Dunga. Some space for him. Onto the left foot. And again, Tacconi clung onto it. It seemed it might squirm away, but he grasped it. Seemed to take a lot of steps then, Jerry.
Yeah, I think they've forgotten the rule out here on those. I mean, Dunga again there, you know, he must have had, I don't know, about 5 or 6 real strikes on target, on goal through the game, and Tacconi's done superbly. He's positioned himself well, and he's handled superbly throughout the game. He hasn't dropped too many, he's palmed a couple away, and really, the way Juventus have reorganised since the boy got sent off, you know, they deserve to win it by the looks of it, if that's what they're going to do.
Well, Landucci at the other end hasn't had too much to do, certainly in the second half. All the attacking play has come from Fiorentina, but still Tacconi and his fellow defenders have withstood them. Again, the shot, that wasn't too far away either. Hit from Kubik. But it's all distance shooting. And Juventus now are almost there. Volume of noise from their supporters in this tiny stadium. And they will look back on the first leg in Turin when the first part of the job was completed. A 3-1 success then. Looks like taking them onto the cup. Schillaci and Delalio having a little tangle now. Peen getting involved too. Surely not another yellow card. No, I think he's just separating them this time. The referee, Aaron Schmidhuber from West Germany, who sent off Bruno. He's cautioned umpteen others. So again, it's been a very competitive game. And surely now Juventus are going to triumph, unless there is more drama to come right at the end. 2 minutes left. And it's a harsh fact of Italian football life that Dino Zoff is leaving Juventus, possibly with his team having won 2 trophies. And in the penalty area then, Schillaci went down. He got a fist in the face, not seen by the referee. They're pointing to the linesman. The referee certainly didn't see it. Let's watch this here. That's Peen.
That's a definite penalty, Peter, isn't it? If the referee or the linesman was watching, that's a definite penalty. But he's done brilliantly, Schillaci. I mean, he's kept up there on his own while they've got back behind the ball, and he's got hold of the ball, and he's caused them a few problems.
They'll be hoping to pose some more here. But Volpacina taking the throw quickly for Fiorentina. Into the last minute now, and surely it's all over for Fiorentina. On neutral territory here, and you wonder how costly it's been to lose home advantage, although in fairness the bulk of the support, as I said earlier, is for Fiorentina here, but it's the Juventus flags that are waving. 30 seconds of normal time to go. Alenikov, Battistini, but Juventus now will just be looking to retain possession in the last few seconds. A little bit of time to be added on, I would think, from the referee, but Dino Zoff is leaving Juventus on the high note. Alenikov turns away coolly. Only seconds left now, and there is the final whistle, and Juventus have won the UEFA Cup. The all-Italian final has finished in triumph for Dino Zoff and his team, and these are scenes of celebration from their supporters in the stadium as the players allow their emotions to spill over. Heroes for them certainly on the night in this goalless draw after their 3-1 win in the first leg in Turin. Let's hope they don't set the stadium on fire. But just look here at the delight on the faces of the players as they salute Dino Zoff. Well, you can hardly say he's been a failure. The UEFA Cup to add to the Italian Cup, a high placing in the League too. But let's not forget the part that Fiorentina played in the final. So many opportunities over the two legs, and if only they could have got one goal back tonight, well, it might have been a different story. But Juventus battled on. They lost Bruno, of course, sent off in the second half, and they protected their lead so admirably. And no one did better for them than goalkeeper Tecconi, with some heroics in the Juventus goal. And I think it's fair to say, Joey Francis alongside me here, that over the two legs, Juventus deserve winners.
Yes, I think so, Peter, particularly tonight. Fiorentina huffed and puffed. They only had one or two chances in the box. The rest of the attempts were outside the box. Juventus kept them at bay really well. Tecconi looked unbeatable tonight anyway. So really, Fiorentina's best chances, I felt, came in the first leg, and they must be sort of really disappointed they didn't put a couple of those chances away, and also that the referee didn't spot a little bit of pushing.
Well, there's Tecconi. What a hero he has been. And the UEFA Cup is going to Juventus as the fans dance with delight on the terraces. A smoke-filled stadium, but in there somewhere is Tecconi. And any moment now, the trophy will be held aloft. And there it is. The night belongs to Juventus, and most certainly to Stefan Tecconi. And the relief that shows on his face there is a joy for us all to see.
Well, I just hope, Peter, that my team are holding up the trophy on Sunday, but I just hope that I'm not getting the sack straight afterwards.
Well, he has said goodbye in style, Dino Zoff. We'll wish him the very best of luck in the future. In the meantime, he can relish and milk the success tonight of Juventus. That's it, that's the UEFA Cup. And of course, there's plenty more football to enjoy on Eurosport. The World Cup preview has moved on to